Today, I want to show you how to access the materials for ReadyGen so that you can use those in your classroom for yourself and with your students. So the first thing you need to do is access that through your Clever account. So you'll notice that I just have the TPS 501 website up, but you'll notice at the top that I have something that says TPS 501 bookmarks because I have logged in with my 501 account. And so if I click on those, you'll notice one that's about 2/3 of the way down that says Clever Portal. Click on Clever Portal and it will take you to a screen that looks like this. Yours might look a little bit different depending on how you've set it up, but I'm going to go to Mrs. Dixon English Language Arts class. And when I do that, you will see all of the resources that I have added. And one of the ones that I have added is District Easy Bridge. It is also a district resource. So I just searched it and added it to my screen. And you can do that by clicking Add and searching for Savvis Easy Bridge. So when I click on this, it takes you to a page that looks like this. Now, if you have not logged in before, it may ask you to set up your account and it will walk you through a series of questions. Please go ahead and do that. And it will show you the classes that you have registered and that you have access to. Please notice that I have access to many classes as my account also has district accounts. So you will see your classes. And it may ask you to add a product. If you click on this blue box that says add a product, it will want you to add your classes, the products that you will need for your classes. So you will add your grade level ReadyGen resources. For example, if you teach second grade, you'll want the second grade resources. If you teach multiple grades, such as K1-2, then you will select the K1-2 products. And once you've done that, you will come over here to the right-hand side. The very bottom rectangle says Savvis Realize. Please click on that. And it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. Now, it's going to say Browse in the green, and that's what we want to work in right here. So Browse, and I'm going to browse all the programs. Now, please notice that I have all grade levels attached. You will have the grade levels that you have selected. So let's go to third grade. Let's say that's the one I want to go to. I will simply click on that and it's going to take me to a page that looks like this. And this is your table of contents. And so from here, some things to note are the following. Number one, they have some support for distance learning. You'll see Teacher's Guide. You'll see Scaffolded Strategies Handbook. And then down here, you will see the units. In third grade, there are 4 units. So let's say that I am wanting to work in Unit 3. If I click on Unit 3, you will notice that it will bring up the Teacher Guide, the Scaffolded Strategies Handbook, and the books for the modules. Notice Module A and Module B. So let's say I wanted Module A. Let's say that's the unit that I'm working in. If I click on Module A, you will notice that it brings up again the Teacher Guide, the Scaffolded Strategies Handbook. It brings up the anchor text, and it also brings up the text collection. So let's walk through the way that this is set up. And this is set up for the same way for each and every grade level. The first material that you will see is the Teacher's Guide. And you will open that in a new window. Sometimes it does take a few minutes to load up. If that happens, just wait patiently. It will take just a moment. So what you will see is exactly what a paper copy would look like. Now, instead of scrolling through each and every page, I suggest going to the table of contents. So you'll notice that it has third grade, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Module A, I can click here for Module A. And notice that it's going to give me vocabulary, Module A overview, Module A planner, and then it goes into the various lessons. So I can click right here, for example, and go to Lesson 1. And once I go to Lesson 1, it's going to show me that lesson. And this one says, describe how characters share knowledge. And notice that I can now scroll through the various pages of this lesson. Again, it does sometimes take a few minutes to load. There are lots of pictures and things like that that it needs to load, so it might take it just a few minutes. Now, if you want, and you know that lesson 1 is what you want to work through, you can also go to a 2-page spread, and it's going to ask you about interactive features. You can click don't show me this again if you wish. And now you will see your teacher manual. And you can click and go to the next page. So it is that simple to access the online teacher lessons. And again, this is exactly what you would have in a paper copy. So no need to use a paper copy if you don't have one, or you prefer online, you can do that. And you can also print from here as well. Now, that's the teacher guide. The next option that you will see is the Scaffolded Strategies Handbook. And again, this is going to be very similar in the way that it is set up. And again, you'll notice that I have a menu. So I can go to Table of Contents. And here's my Module 1. And the story I was just looking at was Knots on a Counting Rope. So you'll see all of these materials that support that story. So I could click here, and it's going to take me to where I asked it to go. And I can go to 2-page. Do notice that when I go to 2-page view that the table of contents does disappear, but that's okay. And then notice that I can then walk through and read these pages to use a Scaffolded Strategies Handbook. So it's that simple. Now, the other item that you will probably use a great deal is the interactive text. So if I click on this and I click again, it's going to take me to the anchor text. And I can go to 2-page view, or I can keep it single page, and it gives me the book in the digital version. And you'll also notice that there are play buttons on the text where you could have this read aloud to your students if you were wanting to read a specific section. And so it sounds like this.
Storm in the night. Thunder like mountains blowing up. Lightning licking the navy blue sky. Rain streaming down the windows, babbling in the downspouts.
And so notice that I can also have the text read. So if you were working with students and you wanted to go back to a specific place in the text or a specific page number that's referenced in the teacher guide, this is how you could do that. So every story in ReadyGen can be accessed through Pearson Realize. And so it's that simple to get to the anchor text. Now, there will also be something called supplemental texts that students will use, and those are found in the text collection. And so you'll see a little option here that says text collection. So when I click on that, it brings up my familiar window. And it's going to take it just a minute. There we go. So let's say I wanted to search for a specific story. I could come over here to Table of Contents and notice that there's the various volumes. So I could click on Volume 2. Oops. and it's going to show me what I need there. And notice I've got my story right here. We talked about knots on a yo-yo, on a counting rope rather. And so I can click here and it shows me that story as well. Notice that I also see the story Paul Bunyan in this unit. And so let's say Paul Bunyan is the story that I was looking for in the text collection. If I click here, notice that it's going to take me to that story. And so if that is the story that I want, I'm going to go to 2-page view. And I've got my story up and ready to read. Again, notice that there's a play button right here on this left-hand page. So let's see it.
Paul Bunyan. Adapted by Stephen Krensky. Illustrations by Craig Orbach.
And so just like the anchor texts, all the text in the text selection can also be read aloud.
Growing up. Paul Bunyan was always big. When he was born, his first cries broke every window for miles around.
So again, you can have, you can go back to a certain point in the text. You can read this with the students. You can also assign to students to read it on their own. And so it's that simple to get to the text collection, which is another critical resource that you will use as you are working through planning lessons and also working with students. So again, let's review. We have Teacher's Guide, which will give you your lessons, Scaffolded Strategies Handbook, which will give you additional skills and strategies to teach students and to use with them. It will give you the main text for that module. It will also give you the text collection, which will have all of the other stories that students will read in addition to the main text for each module. And Sleuth. And Sleuth is something that gives you additional practice and work with the skills in the unit. And it works this way for every module. So you'll notice that we were in Module A of Unit 3. And if I go back a page, you'll notice now that I have Module B. And so I can click on Module B and it will work exactly the same way as Module A. You will also see biliteracy pathways. That is something that you will use if you have English language learners, for example, that will give additional resources for English language learners. And so I can click on B, Module B, and it will look exactly like it was for Module A. So from each page at the top, you'll see Table of Contents, which we just worked through. The second tab over are resources. So this is if you were wanting to get in and look at some additional resources for the stories. It will also show you the Common Core standards that are covered in that unit. There are also leveled readers that you can use. I would not make that a focus right now. I would use the items in the table of context for sure. Those will be your main priority. E-text, which again just shows all of the items online that we just saw. So I can get my teacher's guide from here, my text collection stories, the scaffolded handbook, and the sleuth if you're using that. And then I have tools. Now, for right now, I would stay out of that tools tab. There's nothing in there that you're going to need right away to get started with ReadyGen. So if you have more than one grade level assigned to you, if you're doing remote with more than one grade level, I can click right up here and change my grade level if need be. So it is that simple to navigate and find materials in Pearson Realize. And remember, it's important that you always go through Clever to access your Pearson Realize materials, or you may not have access to all the materials that you need.